It's a Friday morning, the 26th of the 6th month, year 2026. Good morning and welcome to the news review. We are your host this morning. I am Joshua Maradesa, here with my co-host
Stephen Imediegwu.
And as traditionally is on Fridays, we are joined by what we call Madam President, Sumbo Oladipo. She joins us live this morning. Good morning, Madam Sumbo.
Good morning, Stephen. Good morning, Joshua.
Thank you.
Nabila is on the run again. I can see that.
I'm glad somebody said it, because if I said it, it would look as if I'm looking for Nabila's trouble.
But you supported it, so you said it invariably.
No, I'm glad somebody said it. She's on the run.
Madam Sumbo, hope you've had a good week so far. Let's try to, make it better on a Friday as we try to, look at what the front pages, what the front pages of National Daily tell us. So we are specifically looking at the Guardian newspaper and, of course, Daily Trust this morning. I begin with the Daily Trust very quickly before we get into the headlines at 8. Beneath the nameplate, 8 die, 26 rescued in Lagos building collapse. Motorists demand cheaper petrol as crude price falls. 2027 Jega 6 Amendment to Electoral Act. And the banner headline on the front page of Daily Trust newspaper presents 7 residents, 2 cops killed in Katsina, Kaduna. That is what the Daily Trust newspaper has for us on the front page this Friday morning.
On the Guardian newspapers, the lead story, for service or sanctuary, posers over ex-governor's push for legislative seats. Very interesting picture underneath this particular one, a cartoon that has what it depicts as the Senate building with men who are obviously depicting ex-governors walking from a terminal that has a signpost beneath it saying Governor's Office, 8 years of power, privilege, protocol, and control. And then as they walk towards what is depicted as the Senate, they have next chapter, legislative comfort, security, allowances, influence, relevance. Above this story, high petrol prices persist as Nigeria faces $11.5 billion crude oil loss. And then power debt row deepens as Gencos challenge minister's 501 billion naira payment claim. Appeal courts to hear ADC other suit against the registration in July. Ramaphosa denounces xenophobia as more Nigerians others leave South Africa. Next to it, State Police, Atiku, PRP, Falana raise concerns as Labour Party, Afenifere, Sanwo-Olu back move. Next to it, INEC yet to get 2027 election funds 21 days to deadline. Then Army, Police reject fresh moves to redeploy repentant terrorists. The final headline, CBN freezes accounts linked to terrorism financiers, seeks enhanced monitoring. That's your comprehensive look at the front pages of the dailies this morning. Madam Sumbo, just in, a minute, I want to get your thoughts on the lead story on the Guardian newspapers. For service or sanctuary, posers over ex-governors push for legislative seats. The very interesting pictograph on the front page of the Guardian this morning. But what are your thoughts, Madam Sumbo?
You and I and the rest of Nigerians know that it is for sanctuary. There's no service. The governorship was not and is not for service, and so neither is the National Assembly. There's nothing for service in Nigeria, so let's not belabor that truth. I think that my own position on that storyline is, the challenge of who is going to bear the card, who is going to make the necessary laws that will bar people from, making that transition from the executive to the legislature in the manner in which it is made. But I guess we will dig, further into that conversation at the end of the the news headlines. I lost the word.
Yes, indeed.
It's something big that we will have to dig into.
Well, let's get the shovels out, Lagos, Nigeria. But first, we ask you to listen to the headlines at 8 a.m.
Of course, it's still the news review on Now Breakfast, Radio Now 95.3 FM Lagos. Of course, we are getting into the details right now. We are your host. I am Joshua Maradesa.
We're here with Stephen Imediegwu.
And yes, indeed, we joined on the Friday morning on the news review by Sumbo Oladipo. And we started with that headline on the front page of the Guardian newspaper. And the Guardian newspaper did push it as some level of question. That's a kicker right there for service or sanctuary, with the headline reading, "Process over ex-governors push for legislative seats." And it's something we started to talk about just before the headlines and at 8. Generally, every election cycle, the character, the composition, or say the color of the National Assembly change significantly, especially at the red chamber. While this happens, we see situations like circumstances of those who have served as executive governors of their own respective states. Some of them, after ending their 2-year term, just want to, as Madam Sumbo called it, go seek a sanctuary at the Red Chamber. Some people have called it a retirement home, but I don't know if they actually do retire. I mean, retirement is supposed to be something you get to stop doing. I don't know if there's any form of retirement, but well, we can still look at it as retirement because apparently we can actually measure the level of impact some of these former governors have whenever they get into the Red Chamber. So we can say, yes, they are retiring there as they become inactive on the larger run. I'm looking at the list right now. This current 10th Senate has about 13 former governors, 7 in it, from the Northwest to the Northeast to the North Central. I mean, I'm looking to the South as well. Godswill Akpabio is even the Senate president, was one time a governor of Akwa Ibom State. Adams Shomole, who has been one of his biggest rivals lately, has also, served as a governor in Edo State before. Seriake Dixon has served in Bayelsa as governor before. Ali Wamako, Aminu Tambuwa, both have served as governors in Sokoto State before. Abdulaziz Yari served as governor of Zamfara. We have Adamu Leru. I mean, the list goes on. Simon Lalong, Ojuzo Kalu, Benga Daniel. That's talking about the current Senate. Now, for the incoming Senate, the 11th Senate, we have some governors who have also won their primaries. Ogun State poses a very, very classic example where, against all odds, Dapo Abiodun, the current governor, said, well, I'm still going to get into it, whether as a form of entitlement, as a form of whether it's my turn or not. And yes, being Ogun State governor, Dapo Abiodun is also in that lineup. Another interesting one is somebody who has actually been in the Senate before, Hope Uzodinma, who, well, his tenure as a governor in Imo State is still quite active even after the elections, but that's going to be a classic. We see what happens afterwards. And the list goes on. About 10 of them were also still seeking to get back into the Senate. It's not something we are seeing for the first time, but one wonders, what is that interesting thing about them getting back into the Senate after serving 8 years in most instances as executive director, as executive governor or chief security officer of a particular state. Madam Sumbo, let's get back into that conversation right now.
Okay, before I go into that, very quickly, a little bit of diversion. It's the first time I'm hearing your name pronounced accordingly, and it's having a meaning, Maradesa. I've always heard Maradesa or something like that.
No thanks
and
to
so
Stephen.
when I heard you pronounce it, I said, "Oh my God, is this how they murdered the name?"
No thanks to Stephen. Yeah,
Joshua,
Anyway.
that's on you.
No thanks to Stephen.
Joshua, this, you know what, Madam President, over to you again.
Stephen will still call him Maradesa in the next 5 minutes.
Joshua
no,
Maradesa, behave
Maradesa. When you see the crown, you don't run.
For the first time, I'm delighted on Friday morning.
Okay. Back to the topic at hand. Joshua, you are trying to decide whether it's a retirement house, or I'll call it a old people's home. I think that's a better way to put it for these so-called, former governors. Because, in the old people's home, you're not just retired, you are there at the expense of whoever. In the days when we had them functioning as a social service in Nigeria, you were there at the expense of government. And so I think it's a more appropriate term to describe it for these people. However, my take on, I'm even surprised when you mentioned that incoming, those who are vying for the positions as former governors are about 11. Should I say, I'm pleasantly surprised, pleasantly there being in court, because I expected, I would have expected to have more than that. Now, the truth of the matter is governance in Nigeria is a job. And when I say it's a job, it's not even a job in terms of rendering services for which you are paid. Okay? For these people, it's the only thing they know how to do. Governance or politics in Nigeria is a profession. I think that's actually a better way of putting it. In other climes, it is not so. But in Nigeria, it is a profession. And of course, if something is a profession, you want to advance in it. You want to go to the next level in it. So when they come in, and they become governors, and at the end of the day, they run to the Senate, is because they want to advance in this profession that they practice. Now, for me, that's not even the bone of contention, that's not what we should be looking at. I think that the critical, conversation we should be having is how to review our democratic laws and provisions. I personally, and I think that is something that should be subject to constant review and change whenever necessary. Because, change is the only thing that is constant, it is said. When we have seen the way it has panned out in Nigeria, then we should be able to look for ways of, eradicating that misnomer. So, in my opinion, there should be a way by which we make laws that when you come out of, as a governor or whatever, there should be something that does not give you that direct entry into the Senate. Maybe we want to say something like, after you have served in this particular capacity, you have to spend a couple of years or maybe, 2 terms before you can go into the Senate. We have to think through what to do, because this does not augur well for us as a nation. And we have seen, it's not me who says it, it's the facts on ground. A number of them are alleged criminals. These people are people that are under trial by the FCC, by different courts in the land for one mismanagement, one, corrupt act or the other. And they come into the Senate or into the National Assembly, where the Senate particularly, because going to the lower chamber would be, infra-dig for them. But you see, when they come in with their baggage or baggages into the Senate, and they continue, the impunity with which they do so. These are things that stir up anger in the land, in people. And these things also do not serve as a good example to the coming generation. Because what we are saying to us is that, look, you still big as governor, you have immunity, you run into the Senate, you also have immunity. This immunity thing has to be looked into. Who is supposed to, benefit from immunity clause? I think we have to begin to tone it down. So for me, there are several reviews that we need to be making, on a democratic system, democratic laws and policies and all of that. And so that we may move on as a nation, looking out for the things that are real, for the things that will make, this nation rise and grow in the right direction. So for me, that should be the focus of attention, really. But in terms of, going back to that question, is it for service or sanctuary? I don't know many Nigerian politicians, or those in high places in offices that are there to serve the people. It's not part of it at all, and that's why it's because we've said it over and over again. There's too much money in politics, too much money in governance that makes it so attractive to the wrong people. If you were to go into the chambers and you didn't take salaries and you didn't have the power, to give out contracts and all of that, and you did it on a pattern basis. You sit, you gather only when there is need for you to sit, and then maybe they give you some sitting allowance, a pittance, or they even call out and say, look, it's for people who will volunteer. You will be shocked at the number of people who will run away from it. So it can't be service. It can't be for service.
I think about this, and I was trying to look up a couple of former governors to see if they had at any point gotten involved with legislative work. Donald Duke has famously not been in the Senate. Joshua, the governor of
That's a gentleman.
He's a gentleman. The governor of your state, has he transitioned into lawmaking from governing?
Which of the states? I represent like 5 different
My
states.
governor.
No, just the states that your parents belong to.
They represent like 4 different states.
Joshua, you understand the question I'm asking you. Don't stress me. No, Madam Sumbo, don't worry. Joshua is just trying to be a problem this morning. Because
okay. Okay, so I'm from Edo State, Oshomole transition, and my mother was from Ogun State. Benga Daniel transitioned, Adakwa Abiodun, who I do not see any reason why he should continue in government, is also trying to transition. So, I've not been, I'm not a beneficiary of good governance.
The former governor of my state, one of the former governors has transitioned into, lawmaking. He's also faced some time in prison, but I think his conviction, was it overturned? Odius Okalo, former governor of Abia State. Even though I will, point out to you that there was another governor, the most recent past governor is, of course, Mr. Ikpeazu. When it comes to Anambra State, let's see. Mr. Peter Obi is still active in politics. Willie Obiano still has issues with anti-graft agencies to sort out. So I think we'll wait until Charles Soludo leaves office to see what he will do next.
I mean,
if he will so depart.
In other climes, governors of Kwara, Borno, even Ifeanyi Okowa, he's not the current governor, right?
No, former.
But he's going back to Senate. He was in the Senate before. Now he wants to get back into the Senate. That on one side.
Money has finished. Money has finished.
Madam Sumbo, we're going to open.
What is matter?
No, we're going. I just want to say that we're opening.
And I've not even mentioned Nasarawa State. I've not mentioned the Bala Mohammed. I've not mentioned the Bala
whatever.
No, Madam Sumbo is not like
that. My mother's current governor served a jail term in the US, and he still became governor, and now he's heading for the Senate. I beg.
Madam Sumbo, historically, prison terms have never prevented anybody from leadership.
No.
Maybe it's more like a motivation, Madam Sumbo. Like if you want to become especially the president, you have to go through the prisons one way or the other.
Okay, that's interesting. But what a qualification.
There are some notable exceptions, especially as far as this current disposition is concerned. The governors of Oyo and Lagos states, we've not heard anything about them switching or promoting themselves. While Seyi Makinde has a higher ambition right now, he wants to become the president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Yes, he did say that, and is contesting under what looks like a coalition, a rainbow coalition, PDP APM. That remains to be seen. Babajide Sanwo-Olu as well is done. He's going to finish his second term by 2027. There are no trajectories of him getting into the Senate. Maybe it's just about the dynamism of Lagos.
I will tell you why.
Exceptions
I will tell you why. I will tell you why. Comparing Makinde and Sanwo-Olu is like comparing apples and pawpaw. And I'll give you a reason why. Lagos State Governor is handpicked. It is Babasoke, is a product of Babasoke. And so for the past couple of years, when you come in as governor of Lagos State, it is not because you qualified on your own. It is not because you even sought the office. It is because Babasoke handpicked you and put you there. And the moment you try to be ambitious, to go beyond your boundaries, they take you out. You can look back to Femi Pedro. You can look back to Ambode. You can look back even to a Fashola, but for the fact that Fashola's work spoke for him in the midst of this trouble, and they had to downtone that. So don't even think Lagos State. Those ones have they have no whatever of their own. So
Retirement
if
home.
you see a Sanwo-Olu, if no, they don't. If you see a Sanwo-Olu after this time out saying he's going to the Senate, it's because Baba Sokwe has decided to, honor him in that way. The entire Senate, as far as the APC is concerned, particularly within the Southwest, is not determined by, oh, you have an ambition, you want to go slug it out at the polls. No, it's a question of selection, not election. So let's not even go there. Seyi Makinde came into governance under the PDP. The PDP was a more, liberal party when it comes to getting into contesting and all of that. It was more open than what we have in the APC and particularly in the Southwest. So there are no comparatives.
I wonder the dynamics of the current gubernatorial candidates for Ogun State, talking about Senator Solomon Olamilekun Adeola, is popularly known as Yayi. He served in Lagos as a senator for Lagos West for some 8 years. Now he's transitioned into Ogun State to become governor. That one is leaving retirement home to where now?
I didn't think that was...
You didn't think that was possible?
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Madam
The
Sumbo.
case of Yayi.
Yeah.
I'll tell you, listening to some very heavy stalwarts in the APC, and I'm telling you, very heavy stalwarts, I would not mention names, and somebody was, this was a live kind of meeting, and somebody popped in the question, what about Yayi? They were discussing all of that, and they said, I will give the response, verbatim, say, Omo Ìjọba ni Yayi. Omo Ìjọba means Yayi is a government child. Now, and then of course they went on to explain the reason why. So Yayi, I'm not going to go, with that online, but Yayi as a government son, as they call him, is here to stay. What's the word now? Is the animal that is more equal than the others. Okay, when it comes to the sitting president and all of that. So because of what Yayi was said to have done at the very beginning of his interest in governance, the guy can never get it wrong. So and if Yayi Yayi is different. It's a different case. Because you don't understand how somebody could have sat,
as a lawmaker in one
and
state,
at the same time as a lawmaker in one state, and then lawmaker in another state, and then is going now to be governor in one of those states. The question is, what qualifies you to be a lawmaker in a state? That in itself is against the constitution. So how did he get into it, and how is he escaping from charges?
The best of fiction writers cannot even think of some of these things that happen in Nigeria.
This is Nigeria. This is Nigeria.
All right. So,
and when it comes to the Southwest, the politics of the Southwest is a politics that does not give you, the room to really express yourself and to go out there to slug it out as a competition, in terms of election. It doesn't happen. It just does not happen in the Southwest. And this is something that has been going on from the days of Action Group to the days of AG and all the names that they have borne. So let's not talk about it.
All right, so let's bring Lagos into the conversation to talk to us. 0913 5000 953 is the number to call this morning on the News Review. You can also send WhatsApp messages to 0809 682 2595. Speaking of WhatsApp messages, morning to you in the studio. The State Police Bill scaled in the National Assembly and is a welcome development. Hope the 24 states, I think you mean 36 states, will also pass it and gradually move us towards a true federal system of government. I hope those who are critical thinkers will look beyond the price of rice in the market. They will give kudos to Mr. President for his efforts to solve some critical problems which all our former presidents were unable to solve, such as removal of fuel subsidy, floating of the naira, local government autonomy, decentralization of electricity, reorganization of tax laws, state police. Thanks to Mr. President, you have provided leadership for this country. That is additional. Wasu from Ikorodu.
All right, let's take Emmanuel's call right now as we talk more. Hello, good morning.
Good morning, Steve. Good morning, Joshua, and good morning, Madam Subo.
Good morning, Emmanuel.
Yes. Well, first and foremost, Lagos is not a democratic state. Let's get that clear. Because right from 1999, it was only in 1999 that Lagos was democratic. After that, with the demise of Engineer Funshaw William, Lagos became owned by one family. And you can see it playing out little by little. A man that was a senator under Lagos West is now claiming Central all of a sudden. I don't know how it changed. But I know that during the days of SDP and NRC, then Senator Bola Tinubu actually contested under the west of Lagos. And I was a witness to that because I saw some of his most political maneuvers when he was meeting people like Tunde Gafar, or a man called Tunde Gafar. He was in charge of I think Ojo local government area. That having said that, Yayi is another fellow that is a wonderful fellow. It's only in Nigeria that you can cross carpet from one state to another and vie for a position, and nobody is going to say anything about it. We have a former senator who is now the first lady of Nigeria. By the song of or by the sayings of the Delta state government or the governor that says that Mr. President Tinubu is our in-law, meaning that Remy is actually from Delta State, but somewhere along the line she became a senator, 4-time serving senator in Lagos Central. I think the most important district in senatorial district in Lagos State. So that has been taken care of. I think we have a better understanding of what Lagos is like. And like Madam Stumbo said, Lagos is a Baba Sokwe state. If he does not agree for you, you can't get it. And it's looking like he has spread his tentacles to the west, as the southwest, as the case may be, because you can see that anybody that wants to vie for any position under the APC, they must go on a pilgrimage to him, or somebody must link somebody to him, and so on and so forth. So really, we're not running a democracy since 1999 till now, and I hope that one of these days, we Nigerians will wake up and do the right thing. Everybody try it, man. Have a wonderful weekend ahead of you.
Thank you, Emmanuel. Joshua, I do have political ambitions. Perhaps it's time to run for legislative office in Lagos.
You have an advantage being in Lagos. I mean, there are people who have served as commissioners in Lagos and they've gone on to become governors in their states. How about that? There are 1,000,001 instances for Lagos.
Listen, I'm from Abia State. I've lived in Lagos since I was 8. I've done at least 20 years in Lagos. So I think that I can definitely run for, elective office, at least senatorial office in Lagos. But let's not take my word for it. Let's check in with George to see if he agrees. Hello, George. Welcome to the News Review.
Yeah, good morning, Mr. Steve.
Welcome to the News Review, George.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes, George, we can hear you. Good morning.
Yeah, Madam Sumbo, good morning as well.
Good morning, George.
Yeah, Madam Sumbo, God bless you this morning. Break the politics
Amen.
down in the southwest here. And I like when somebody is analyzing, come to radio studio to analyze the come with fact and the history. You said it all. This issue of Baba Sokwe in the southwest politics has been for the time immemorial, for ages. As you said, time of action group from Awolo, Baba Sokwe, Mr. A stepped down for Mr. B, Mr. C stepped down for Mr. D. It doesn't work. In the normal democracy, it doesn't work that way. The person you are bringing to the public, the person you are bringing to the people, how capacity he have to serve. Well, because of you have, having that kind of, dominatory, you have dominated everywhere. Everything you said, everybody will say, yes, sir. Everything you say, everybody will say, yes, sir. In a normal democratic, it doesn't work that way. For instance, there is some governors in the southeast or southwest and south today. They're supposed to become a law. But because of people over there did not give them that breathing space. They did not give them that breathing space to become that lord over there. You serve 8 years or 4 years, you leave that place. You cannot dictate for people for who will be the next, or who will be this, or who will be that. It doesn't work that way. So what I'm trying to say is that this issue of politics of Baba Sope, for me, is no. That's not the way to play politics. Allow people to come out and play their politics, to go for the any. If they win, they see they win. If they did not win, they say they did not. It's not that. Okay, look at what you are saying now. Somebody from Lagos State, he has served for senator for 8 years here or more than that. Now you move down to Ogun State because of you have the people that you say you have, people that are backing you, they are, the Lord over there or whatever. It's okay. Let us give it to this person. Every other person that has that ambition has to be what? Suspended. It doesn't work that way. It doesn't work that way. That's what I want to comment. But another thing for state police, I am not against it, you. I am not against it. Even if it is the way we can practice the way United States of America practice their own state police, fine and good. But my fear is that politicians in Nigeria, if they can allow it to work, if they can allow it not using it to intimidating their opponents, not only their opponents, the individuals in that state, because that is my fear. The issue of state police, I don't have any problem with it. If you can run it the way Americans are running their own state police, without no interference, the police will be independent. They don't listen to any governor, don't listen to any politician. They do their work the way it's supposed to do. They do their work the way they're supposed to do it. I thought that is fantastic. But in a situation that we have state police, the politician will hijack it. It's going to boomerang you. Thank you and God bless you people.
Emmanuel, thank you very much. I beg your pardon, George. Thank you so much for calling and sharing your thoughts with us. Lagos, Nigeria. Our phone number 0913-5000-953 is how to reach the studio this morning. Alternatively, send us WhatsApp messages to 0809-682-2595. If you're just tuning in, this is the news review here on Now Breakfast. We are looking to the front pages of the dailies and discussing the stories that are captured there to hear your views. Our guest, of course, is Sumbo Oladipo, a.k.a. Madam President. So far, we've been talking about the idea that the Senate seems to be a legislative, a retirement home for those governors who have served their 8 years in their state and want to continue being in the public eye, at least as far as active politics is concerned. We want to hear your views on these stories as well as some of the others that are captured on the front pages of the dailies. Madam Sumbo, one reality really for Nigerians is that we continue to see security threats, security situations, security incidents. There's a conversation on the bottom left-hand corner of the Guardian newspapers. Army, police reject fresh moves to deploy repentant terrorists. And it is a serious conversation for all the obvious reasons. There's been a lot of talk about how those terrorists who are arrested and rehabilitated are being reintegrated into towns, and then the conversation around them being deployed for security activities is something that has come up. I want to get your thoughts on this, but I want to take Austin and his thoughts now. Hello, Austin. Good morning.
Hello, Steve. Good morning, Josh and Madam Sumbo.
Hello, Austin. Good morning.
Good morning, Austin. Nice to hear you this morning.
Good morning. Okay, my own contribution is on this idea of creating a retirement home. There is this quote that says that when politicians become richer than entrepreneurs, that what they manufacture is poverty. And it speaks clearly to the kind of politics where it doesn't matter what anybody does, whether he performs badly, he's rewarded to go back to Senate, where he now goes to sleep. I give you a very good example. I come from a state in the southeast, and without being specific, we had a governor that was an unmitigated disaster somewhere around the southeast. And after 8 years, he went to the Senate, and one of the most headline a contribution I ever known about him was that he was always sleeping there. I mean, the cameras always capture him sleeping. And at the end of the day, I don't know whether he even still there or he had left. There is basically nothing because you cannot reward a child who failed the exam, and then you can't reward a bad performing governor by giving an opportunity again to somewhere else to go and do. That's reinforcing failure. So, but the political system had been designed in a way that the will of the people is not what push very good people to the top. So our system of recruiting leaders is still faulty in that aspect because if you have, for instance, let me give an example of a governor like the state governor currently that is doing well. Who wouldn't want him after 8 years to project himself to a higher level, even to the level of vice president? Because you already have an antecedent, a track record of his performance. You can evaluate his appraisal and say he had a scorecard that shows he can perform. So that when he gets there, he can do more things for his constituency and probably even do for the country. Because at that space, everybody is contributing to, refining the rules of engagement of the country. But what you have is that once they are there, they are positioning. You see a governor in Imo State whose tenure has not even expired, but he's already trying to scheme on how to keep a position for himself so that when his tenure expires, he will move there. That is not how the system should be working because a system that works like that rewards failure and actually make it impossible for new people to emerge. Because look at the whole space. 11 governors are there. 4 or 5 of them are going to meet them. So before you know, virtually all the governors in this country, as they are retiring, nobody wants to go and engage in anything meaningful. Nobody wants to engage in anything entrepreneurial. Nobody wants to even go and do in anything that create development in any aspect. They just move again to the next goalpost and continue to politic. So you call somebody in this country and say, what is your profession? You say, I'm a politician. It doesn't make sense and it doesn't help. And until our system rewards performance and punish incompetence, this system will continue to thrive the way they are because all they do is in the system, in the state, they fill out their pockets, build up a very huge war chest of financial muscle, deny the people what they are supposed to get, then now throw it at them like crumbs. So all of them are subservient to them, and then they now use it to climb to the next level of power and go and stay there. For me, I think it's a problem, and that's on that part. On the other one, I want to touch a little, if I have the time, is the state police. The state police would have been a beautiful thing if it is harnessed the way everybody uses around the world, because it means that people will be able to, the control and then the management of security would dovetail down to the roots, to the localities, to the present, so that things are captured immediately. But when you have politicians that are all self-centered, it's a source of worry that you might have one rogue governor who ordinarily, if he wanted to create a militant arm, will be denied that power, will now just hijack this, modify it and use it as an instrument of intimidation to actually run out his opponent of the state. So I subscribe to the fact that there is a need for us to find a way of reinforcing our security architecture to go down deeper and manage issues fast, swiftly, and also get well funded. But we have to be very careful that we are not going to empower people who will now snatch this and then become maximum merciful and defensive at their whims and caprices and not based on law. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for calling and sharing your thoughts with us, Austin. Lagos, Nigeria, we want to hear you. 0913 5000 953 is the number to call. Madam Sumbo, I want to get your thoughts on just that headline on the Guardian newspapers. Army, police reject fresh moves to deploy repentant terrorists.
My dear brother, I think that we have cried our voices for us on this issue. Every right-thinking, sane Nigerian has talked about the fact that, you cannot be doing that. So let's look at the two words and try and see how they match. Repentant and then terrorist. Have they tried to define who a terrorist is? And if you have defined who a terrorist is accurately, you now want to look at the word repentant. Do they really tally? Can you really have a terrorist who is repentant? I'm not too sure. and to what extent. And then, even if you are going to, be so magnanimous to say, okay, some terrorists have repented and all of that, is it the army you now put them in? What exactly are we doing to ourselves as Nigerians? What exactly is going on? It's like deliberately picking up the enemy and planting them in the midst of your army. So you are making their job easy for them. And, let me tell you a quick story. Um, as documented in the Bible, it talks about King David, having issues with the reigning king at the time, King Saul, and then he went and hid with another king, the king of Achish. And at some point in time, that guy, his host, was going to battle against another nation and invited David to follow. And David was like, okay, I will. It was the wise, the members of the troop who looked at the king and said, I don't understand. You want David to follow us to go and battle against his homeland? What sense is in that? That was how, David had to go back. But in reality, even while being hosted, David was already making inroads into that man's territory and raiding his people and killing them so that no one would report it. So that example just depicts exactly what is going on. How do you put terrorists into your own army, into your own military? And we can see what's going on. We've read reports of so-called repentant terrorists going back and creating more havoc than they did in the first place. The kind of terrorism we're seeing in Nigeria is not the kind that you want to embrace. And when people begin to say negotiate, look at what they are doing. I don't understand it unless they know what we don't know, which I believe, and unless they are thinking in a way that we can't really understand. Maybe the thinking is way beyond human reasoning. I don't see why any sane person and anyone who has the love of country at heart, I don't see how they can do that and think they are doing the country a favor. It's totally out of place.
Yes, indeed, Madam Sumbo. It's something that has generated concerns. But there have also been arguments while we get into calls with Francis about some people who have been involved in massive raids, some people innocently picked up and mistaken for terrorists, and, this rehabilitation program for them. But maybe it's something we can just touch on a little bit later. But let's hear from Francis. Hello, Francis. Good morning.
Yes. Good morning, Madam Sumbo.
Good morning, Francis.
This is
Francis, do you want to adjust your... So the connection is not very good. Do you want to call us back or do you want to adjust your physical position? Oh dear. Francis, you're going to have to call us back. 0913 5000 953 is how to reach us this morning. If you're just tuning in, this is the news review here on Now Breakfast. We are talking about the front pages of the dailies, taking the stories that are captured there and getting your views as well. You can send those views to 0809 682 2595. It's our WhatsApp number where you can send messages alone. No voice notes at this time.
I mean, yes, indeed. While Francis tries to reestablish that connection. So I was talking about instances where we've heard human rights organizations, we've heard even local communities raise alarms about the fact that sometimes whenever, there are raids on some of these communities, sometimes these people are just marketers or market women. Some people are just going on errands. But whenever massive raids happen, some people are really innocently picked up and, they enter that bandwagon and they call them terrorists. There are rehabilitation programs, there are de-radicalization programs. But at this point, the argument that the army, the police are making is when you bring them back into the fold, then, this thing about the march, when you see military men, when they go on parades, Stephen, I don't know if you should have experienced that with the NYC. It's something that signals unity, cohesion, trust. I understand that when we are going right wing, you're following me. When we are going to the left, you're following me. We are marching in unison. It's one of the things, one of the core attributes of the military. But that is where the question comes in. I can't even trust that this person whom I once held arms against is now my brother in arms at my own side. These are some of the arguments, and that's why we need to also amplify the thoughts around them. Let's take more calls this morning.
Deji is on the line. Hello, Deji.
Hello, Steve. Good morning. George, good morning.
Morning,
Super, good morning. Yeah.
Good morning.
The speech, Yeah, Madam Sumbo. Now, the issue we are talking about, yes, we've overflogged this issue, and sometimes when we hear it, embarrasses the mind. I mean, do you want to pick somebody who you call a terrorist, and you believe that this guy is clean, he has come out straight, and now you want to bring him back into the society or put him in the armed forces or whatever? I mean, I don't understand why or how our politicians have to think. You understand? And this is part of why we are in what we are in it. Because we keep giving these people the opportunity to infiltrate and also get us, in a very bad situation. I mean, I hate to hear this kind of a thing. I didn't want to call him before, but when I hear this now, I said, wow, why are we doing this to ourselves? You can never see a terrorist and believe him that he has repented. Repented to what? This is not the way to do it. All over the world, they don't just bring a terrorist and you want to, bring him straight into society, and you want to believe that he's come out clean. You even want to bring him into. Hello?
If I may, have you wondered as well, what of those people who have been mislabeled, who have been wrongfully profiled? It's something that happens a lot. It was one of the core conversations around the NCRs.
Wrongfully, you use the word wrongfully profiled. I can understand that
happens
wrongfully.
A lot. Yeah.
But in this very one, it is not wrongfully. They've actually committed the act, and they are not saying they are, okay, how do you use the word repentant if they have not done something evil? They've done something, that's why they say they are repentant. Someone that is wrongfully accused of something cannot say, I've repented. Repented to what? You didn't do anything. But someone who has done something, who has done some criminal works, it's different from the other person. Do you understand? I don't think it should be in that kind of a line. It's very, very wrong. Our government should stop bringing this up for us and want us to accept it. It is totally wrong. Then, before I go further, I want to talk about this Baba Support thing. Yes, it's something that is so prevalent in Lagos State that has been on for a very, very long time. But something happened recently. I don't know whether some of you got it right. I saw a picture of it. It was someone who first raised the hand of his deputy. Give me his name now.
Obafemi Hamzat.
Hamzat, yes. He's the one that first raised the hand of Hamzat as the next governor after him. It was after that they now took him to Aso Rock in Abuja to meet with the president. And the president also aligned. Even some party chieftains, went with them to Abuja to meet with the president. And the president also accepted, that issue. Go ahead after Sanwo-Olu. There's a change there. And if you look at the scenario in Lagos State, it has never been once, I don't know, I stand to be corrected, if a deputy governor eventually becomes the governor after, the main governor. And starting from Tinubu, he didn't allow his vice to continue. He always go to the parastatals or anywhere to pick his, whoever will be governor of Lagos State. Do you understand? And it has been coming down the line like that. You get it? Until when he go to Sanwo-Olu now. And Sanwo-Olu changed the whole thing. I don't know if I'm wrong, but I saw the picture. He was the one that first raised the hand about that. And after that, they took him to Aso Rock to meet Tinubu. And Tinubu also, he had no choice because there's something that they play out there that is not known to us or open to us. It's a play. You understand? And Tinubu was like, I'm twisted. He cannot do anything. He just has to go along with Hamzat. Ordinarily, he would have done the way he has been doing before. Go to the ministry or anywhere and pick whoever's going to be the next governor of Lagos State. You understand? But in this very one, I don't think it happens. So, yes, the scenario has always been how people have been painting it. But in this very one, it has changed. And I hope it will continue to change that. Good morning. Have a good day.
All right. Thank you very much for calling and sharing your thoughts with us this morning. We do appreciate you, Deji. Madam Sumbo, let's come back to you. Hello, Madam Sumbo. All right.
Yeah, I'm here.
So this Baba Sokwe idea that you described a little earlier is something that Deji does agree with as well. But he feels like Baba is outsourcing Kotofeso to other people in the case of Lagos State now and Obafemi Hamzat. So I don't know. But I still think that...
No, look, I think that, I'm sorry to cut him, I think that, about the case of Obafemi Hamzat is a little bit different because At the point in time Ambode came into governance, I think it was Obafemi Amzad who was actually in the wings but because the Christian Association of Nigeria vehemently insisted that if they fielded another Muslim, you know, for governorship candidates in Lagos State, they were going to boycott those elections or not vote for them at all. And that's why Amzad could not come in at that point in time. So that, but you see, the Baba Sokwe thing has been given a beautiful packaging, so to speak now, and it is what they now call consensus candidates. The question you want to ask is that consensus, you understand, who is giving the consensus? Because the consensus candidacy itself would actually mean that some form of voting has also taken place.
Mm-hmm.
Because before, that's what they call unanimous, but that doesn't happen. How do I know that it doesn't truly happen? Is the fact that a number of dissenting voices come up. When this thing has been done, and you can see it all over the place. You hear Benga, Daniel quarreling with Abiodun and all of that. And, not just, it's all over Lagos State and all the states. Okay, where that strategy or whatever system is being used. So that's when you said that Sanwo-Olu was the first person to have lifted up Amzad's hand, so I can say it without fear of what's the word? I can confidently beat my chest and say that Sanwo-Olu does not have the bite. He does not have that power to determine who his successor is. It's not where Tinubu is. It doesn't. Lifting up the hand of his deputy must have been something he did in line with the provision that he was already privy to. So it's not. It doesn't have that clout. Not at all.
Madam Sumbo, the dynamism around Lagos State and the public officers is something that is not just on the surface. And one way or the other, we've just forgotten the role of the GAC in all of this, even beyond Tinubu at some point, I dare say. But you know what? Let's get back into the calls. We still have active callers on the phone lines. Hello, good morning.
Hello, Francis.
Morning.
Okay, Francis is back.
Morning, Stephen.
Morning.
Good morning, Madam Sumbo.
Good morning, Francis.
Previously.
All right, so go on, Francis.
So, I want to make comment on two things. This Baba Sokwe that we are talking about, I may be right to call it godfatherism.
Yeah.
When the government, be it state or federal, is free of godfatherism, it is not even mandatory for that godfather to occupy that number one position in the president. He might just be acting like, let me borrow the word, a shadow director, just like companies operate. There is a director, but there is a higher command who is not even in that position. Or people who have business, some kind of personal interest that you occupying that position was not flouted. When we have a government that is free of that, there would be some radical changes that you don't even need advertisement before the grassroots years of the work that you are doing. I don't want to sound controversial, but I may be correct to mention that Abia State now is traveling towards that trajectory. I cannot point hand and say this is Alex Otis' godfather. That is exactly why he is, I can say the people are his godfather. I am not one to mention a name and say, okay, I stand with this person as politics is concerned. But the news is all over our face. So Lagos has to achieve that position where the government is void of godfatherism. Then we can now start, taking changes serious. Secondly, recruiting repentant terrorists into our security system is sounding, it's an abomination. Police is not only police, yes, they don't only police our security, they also police our character. Even to get an average job, locally, mostly internationally, and sometimes locally, they will demand a police character certificate. You are now talking about recruiting people who do not take the lives and properties of Nigerians serious into the system and tell us Nigerians that they are repentant. It should not work. It should not. The corruption we are running from is what we are entering into in depth. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Of course, Francis, right there. I mean, it's Madam Sumbo, you want to touch on it before we wrap it up?
Yes, I want to just say one or two things in addition to what Francis has just said. Looking at this, deploying so-called repentant terrorists into the military, you want to ask yourself, what are the crimes that these terrorists commit? They are murderers, they are rapists, they are arsonists, okay? They are enemies of the state already. You cannot take people like that whose ideology, is not even clear. Because sometimes I ask, what exactly are they looking for? They are kidnappers, all the heinous crimes, a lot of crimes whose, sanction is the death penalty itself. These are people you now want to bring into the army. I don't understand it. To continue their murders, to continue their rapes, to continue their arson. I don't get it. So maybe we need to think deeply and look at this thing, face on. Look at the crime that they have committed and they keep committing. And those are the people you want to put in the army to fight themselves, to fight other, terrorists. I don't understand it. Too. Somebody somewhere, has gotten his brains tampered with. In Yoruba slang now, you will hear what if Apollo didn't do. Maybe that is what is going on.
Madam Sumbo,
we need to go. Tomorrow is environmental.
We are going to go.
We need to leave right now.